The subject is connections, and a lot. What's very important. A lot of times, people say the 4 or 5 people that you're closest to have a lot to do with your personality. Have a strong impact on your personality, and so your closest connections can have a strong impact on you. It doesn't necessarily, not everybody has a lot of close connections, but the ones that have, it has strong impacts. The people that tend to be cut off a lot of times have psychological problems. So it isn't necessarily, it's usually helpful to have some good close connections.
Yeah, I think that in life, whoever makes you feel like recharged, whoever gives you energies of reassurance, support, those are the connections that really matter. It doesn't matter if they're blood or not. It really matters in the spiritual sense of what you get out of the relationship with the person. Also, the more impactful connections you have, the more they seem to last, no matter how far apart you are.
Yes, and connections, I'm very aware of how vital connections are because a lot of my life I haven't had really good connections because of my uniqueness. And it was an advantage for me in the sense that that's how I was able to be a spiritual pioneer. Because pioneers are loners anyway; they have to be able to do things without all the support. But it's very, very rough to be that way, and you have to do all kinds of challenging things spiritually when you don't have it, which of course creates somebody like me that can develop all these wonderful techniques so that you can keep it together without having as much of a support system. The internet can become very important because even though I may not have a lot of close connections near me, I made some connections over the internet that were very helpful to me while I was developing a lot of my theories. So, and that helped because if I was completely cut off, I wouldn't have all the feedback. That's very important. When you're developing something new, you need feedback because you want to you have to have other people evaluate, and then they have to question it and challenge it, and that's how you get better at exposing what you have out to other people, your ideas or feelings or whatever, and getting feedback.
Yes, in the connections of your family, your friends, your support groups, anything that gives you that motivation to continue to thrive is very healthy for you to continue. Also, if you feel like you're lonely, you don't have any connections, that's when you need to start building your confidence and courage that you have something to offer greatly in the spiritual sense, that you have energy that will motivate and charge somebody else. So reach out and make connections, whether it be right in your own backyard or on the internet, like Tom said. I feel like in reality, spiritual energy is faster than the speed of light. So if you think about somebody, boom, your energies you're giving to them. It's always harder and more of a challenge when you're spiritually giving energies to people that are not tangibly right in front of you. However, when it gives you an extra charge, a reboost, something that will give you strength to continue, it is very healthy to not dwell on the fact that they're not in front of you, but you have the ability to send and reach out and still touch them in the energy senses of spiritual love and connection.
Yes, and the internet right now with the sound and visual and everything, one can connect with people that in the past it would be harder because you'd be only do it by telephone. So the technology is making it easier for people to connect with each other in some ways, and then in other ways it's disconnecting people because you end up having more of a connection via the media of the internet rather than the direct connection in person.
Right.
So it's sort of like a double-edged sword.
It really is, because sometimes when you're texting someone and writing them, it is way different than vocalizing. And we grew up vocalizing to people, and that's very important to still do in this today technology age. Skype, look at somebody's face, get on one-on-one when you're connecting through the internet, so you can voice your emotions and passions, because you can't get that emotion and passion down on texting. You can't get it the way you can straight out right here to your face. And it's important for health reasons as well, mental and spiritual health, to get out your passions, get out your emotions, and connect. Because it is said that addictions and things of habitual bad behaviors come from lack of connections. So when you are bonding yourself to people to reassure you or to get motivation, it is very important that it's done in a healthy manner.
Yeah, emotions bond you to different things, and being bonded to alcohol or sugar. Oh, sugar's sort of like a very addictive
Yes,
thing.
food,
Food or different things. In other words,
behaviors, anger,
yeah, your love ends up.
depression.
A lot of times people have love energy connected to food or certain creature comforts, rather than to actual individuals and people, and that's what can cut people off.
Well, and I also want to mention too, animals are great, but human connections are what we're talking about. Human connections of a spiritual sense is going to make this world a different place. Yes, wonderful, the animals are there. They're a different phylum, and they give energies of spiritual love in a way that humans don't. However, we are human, so we need to connect and give energies and have connections of other humans.
Well, and human beings have a very strong impact on this world,
Yes.
and human beings need to be able to work together. And it's a lot easier to understand an animal and to connect with an animal. Humans are harder to connect with, there's more problems involved, but human beings have to connect together on a more intricate, deep way, because that's the only way we're going to be able to change the world. We're having so much impact, and the animals will all benefit if we get our act together in this world by working together as human beings.
And we can't just go in our little world of bliss and not interact with anybody because of all the drama and things that it happens when you interact with people. The connections help you learn and help them learn as well. So those reflections are needed. So get the strength and the courage and connect with people. Get out there and talk and use your passions and your energies, and let the relationships and spiritual connections move you to a higher vibration.
Yes, it's very challenging to connect not only with other people deeply, but with yourself deeply. And of course, you have to connect with yourself deeply before you can connect with others.
Great point.
Like that.
Yes.
And the challenging, but that's what we're challenged to do, rather than relate to people with sound bites or right now a lot of times you read the news media and they're spinning everything and they're slanting everything and they don't see the whole picture. Well, if you want to relate really well with other people, you have to see the whole picture. You can't be
one-sided.
You can't be polarized and sort of addicted to an ideology, because then you don't really see the person. You just see how you're framing things from one side, projected on them. And that's what's so important, because with all the war and conflict, we need to stop getting so polarized and start getting a more balanced view of things that will listen to and pay attention to all sides and be able to pick up on the uniqueness of different human beings and their situations, rather than sort of like getting so ego-oriented in the direction of an arrogance where you look at things this way and you put yourself on some kind of supremacy thing where my point of view dominates everything else, so therefore I only see things from that point of view. I can't quiet myself and see things from other points of view. And a lot of meditation and training has to do with being able to shut down your own energy so you can perceive the energy outside of yourself. And when you
Yes.
get too passionate in the direction of being polarized, you can't shut yourself down. That's not possible for people who are really polarized, because then when you shut yourself down, you're gonna see what's missing.
Yes, exactly. So the encouragement and the support system, you need to reach out and um, make that connection. And I know it's hard, and I know it hurts, but that's the bittersweet part of life. Those things that make us human, that pain that makes us human, allows us to stretch beyond that pain into the comforts of why they are there, why we are so compassionate, why we have so much passion, why we have so much energy into emotional states, so that way we can get the clarity of the intellect, helping us connect and helping us keep bonding and getting deeper into the spiritual knowledge of why we're bonding with other people and why like-mindedness people give us the reassurance and the comforts and the encouragements needed, because we can't do it alone. We are alone, but we are not alone. So in that connections, you can break all kinds of bad habits. Just reach out and know that there is more people out there that are going through the same things that you are. You are not alone in your experiences. Reach out and find groups that have like-minded things that are going through the same processes you're going through at the time, and then you can grow and expand those connections, those bonds, and keep them healthy with not only just memories but actual voicing and actions and passions of yourself.
And one of the things that was good about me being pretty cut off for a while was that I got so much stuff written on the internet, printed on blogs and
Got all his
everything,
blogs ready for all of you.
because I was able to interact using the printed media, which is not the media that I work the best. I'm very vocal. I'm a person that likes to do things face to face, but it forced me to have to put things into writing. And since I have a trigger mind, I had to go on the internet and I could find groups that were specific in the direction of what I was into, and I could connect with people all over the world that had a similar
Yes.
specialty as me, and then I could react to all these different spiritual theories and so forth, and go up against them with other spiritual theories which I thought were stronger, and find
Yeah.
out where the weaknesses were in my theories, where the problems were, and be able to patch them up and try to create better theories. So being cut off helped me in that way. And of course, at the same time, one does not have to, one can survive without connections with human beings by meditating and really, and using technique to connect with the spiritual energy around you, beyond, which, um, so, I mean, you can connect
Like,
with, you're connected with God, you're connected with the universal spiritual energy around you when you go into deep meditative states. And once you connect with that energy, it makes it easier to connect with other people. And that gave me the ability to connect really fast with people when I
I
had to.
Yeah, I agree. The spiritual sense. I've been in the spiritual sense growing up, uh, and it has literally been more of a spiritual understanding that energy is forever. Energy is connected to the universe, to God, to the higher sense. Everything is uh, continually moving. It is the human part. It is the connections of humans that really challenges you. The spiritual stuff, yes, you can get to the meditations. You can live there. You can have a great oneness with yourself and understand the connections putting out there in the universe. But when you are and acting, when you are around people and reacting to their reactions, you understand your reactions and their reactions are the mere reflections of what you need to see and what they need to see, and weaknesses and strengths. So you get more of a challenge when you are connecting with other people. And yes, like I said, and Tom's, said, the spiritual sense of meditation, deep meditation, is very highly suggested and important in our mental health and the processes of where we're going in today's society. But challenge yourself to connect and be involved with other people so you can really know yourself and see those reactions of why you react to different people in different ways.
And the main thing is you want healthy relationships,
That's right.
and you don't want to be desperate. And that's why sometimes you are forced to have to do meditation and to work on yourself spiritually,
Yes.
so that you will draw to yourself better quality people until you won't be desperate. In other words, when you feel a strong need for a connection with somebody, and then you know the connection that you're being drawn to is abusive or not good for you, you need to fight that energy. And how can you fight that energy but to do meditation and techniques and train yourself to be able to not be desperate and require a relationship immediately, to be able to wait until the right one comes.
Exactly.
And then to really appreciate it once it comes, because they are very valuable. And I'm not into people becoming really isolated, even though a lot of times people who are developing themselves spiritually, you have to have periods of isolation to build up your spiritual autonomy so that you can stand on your own when you have to stand on your own.
And I think that's very important. There is a saying that your love is royal. So you are very wise to watch who you give your energies to, who you give your love to, because the boundaries of self is important. What you put out there for others, as far as do not step over my lines, my boundaries, is important to voice. Is important to jump off the train if it's unhealthy. It's important to see the values of your love, of your energies. That's really important in connection, because if you connect to people and you're not valued the way that everyone needs to be valued, of your love and attention and energies, then you're going down a spiral road that is not good. And there is a saying that it is who you love, not who loves you, that matter most. And that is just literally the perceptions that your love is valuable, your energies is something of unique that only you can give, and it's a right and a beautiful gift. And if anybody takes advantage of that, you have the right and you have the dignity and the pride and the self-esteem, which means knowing you can take it away from those people that want to use you and abuse you. Actions speak louder than words, and that's your greatest tool to see if people really love your attention and energies and your connections by the way they treat you.
And when you feel deprived, or like a lot of times people are bonded to food or habit or other thing, and they withdraw from that and they feel deprived, or they have a loved one that dies or something, or leaves them, and they feel feel the grief, or feel the withdrawal from having that emotional connection. They will feel depressed. And one of the things that meditation does is helps you to adjust to a really low energy state, which is harsh, which is difficult, which is challenging. And
Yes.
I have felt like a lot of the time that I was in actually a state that if they did a brain scan, they would say, oh, he's in a depressed state. They would say his chemistry is a depressed chemistry. But I didn't feel depressed because I could handle that hard, austere, rough state of consciousness. Because to me, um, it's not all based on science to tell what's going on with you, because you can be in all kinds of different states. And spiritually, you can learn to adjust to it, and you can learn to still be positive and feel okay under extreme states. But it takes a lot of work to do it in our society. In our backward spiritual world we live in, we're not very good at using I had to develop meditative techniques that were really rough and really challenging, that were different from the ones that are out there, that weren't just into getting into a bliss state and escaping.
Exactly.
I had to develop them, and that were the type that could help you to develop, um, to be able to handle the low energy states that are rough, that are hard, and that are challenging. Like a lot of times people say, the person's depressed, they won't get out of bed. Well, that's what a low energy state does to you. What you do is you do the meditation and go in a lower energy state, and you get yourself even stronger. And when you're in the low energy state, you can recharge. And when you recharge, then you can get up and you can do anything. And then you can do stuff in a state that most people would still be in bed, because you're one of these people that can stand and handle things in a state that most people would be falling apart under. And that's the value of meditative techniques. It can give you the strength to do things other people can't do. And that's what we need in this world, because we've got problems that need to be dealt with in a way that they have not been dealt with before. We need a new type of strength of spirit to make things happen. The same strength of spirit also will help us to connect to a fellow man a lot stronger, so we won't be violent and having all these
unhealthy behaviors
that are divisive and messing this world up.
Yes, and I am proof of Tom's exercise of low energy state meditations. It is amazing, because I too have had my share of depression and low energy unhealthy states, and with his techniques it has literally gave me an out by knowing that low energy state can be used for the healthy part, and literally can climb you out of depressional states and low energy states that really hurt your body. So these meditative, awesome states, please ask questions, seek Tom's advice, and you too can be on the road to beating that depression once and for all.
And we're not talking about getting rid of the psychiatrist and all. You utilize them also.
Use your doctor, please.
We're part of the picture. We're not.
Spiritual health is different than the physical health from a doctor. Science has been there to use the scientific method, and is there. Spirituality in what we're talking about is the frontier. It's on the pioneer stages of mental health, and we're trying to get that out and use as your own. And
I'm a great believer in cognitive therapy.
Yes.
And so I do respect the mental health professionals, the ones that are balanced and open-minded and have a good spirit, which is very important when you're dealing with psychology, that you have the right kind of spiritual positive attitude, because how can you help other people? Depression is a very strong, it's found an awful lot among psychologists and psychiatrists, because it's a rough profession dealing with all these people with all these problems psychologically, and that's why people in that profession probably need to do spiritual training more than anybody else.
Yes, I am a studying psychiatrist and working psychologist, and I know for a fact that in this field that's only 100 years old, it's a baby. It's just starting to plug in the needed spiritual training techniques of what we're talking about into the field. Cognitive psychology is one of my favorite fields. And like Tom, we have a lot of work ahead of us to get the perceptions right, because once we change our perceptions, we can change.
Okay, this is Positive Vibes Enterprise. The subject today has been connections. I think we covered quite a bit of territory in that area. We appreciate you watching.
Please leave any comments, subscribe. We love to hear from you.
And thank you very much.
Bye-bye.